Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Friday wrap-up on Streamlined Solopreneur, a short episode where I cover 3 things: what's on my mind this week, recommended reading, and something fun. This is the show that helps overwhelmed coaches, consultants, and service providers build systems so their business doesn't depend on them. Hopefully, this week's curation gets you thinking about your own systems before you close the laptop for the weekend. I'm your host, Joe Casabona, and here's what's on my mind for August 7th, 2026. First, on my mind, resetting Claude every 3 months. My friend Doc Rock sent me an interview with Boris Cherny, who's the head of Claude Code, last week while I was on vacation, and the advice struck me. Cherny basically says we should reset our prompts, projects, skills every time there's a new model. While my estimation after a couple of listens is he's largely talking about Claude Code, my understanding is that Cowork runs on Claude Code. I don't like this at all. One of the reasons I try to stick with one model, nay, one large language model in general, right? I have gone all in on Claude, is that I don't want to have to retrain some LLM every few months. But this is also why I always say we don't hire large language models. Imagine if you hired someone and then they got that Men in Black flashy thingy thing every 3 months and their memory was wiped.
Hey, K, have you ever flashy thing me?
No.
I ain't playing with you, K. Have you ever flashy thing me?
No.
I'm not going to reset the memory. I'm going to keep my simple set of directives, and if the large language model gets worse at doing that task, I'll just do the task myself. This is something that you generally don't need to worry about with Zapier or Make or Shortcuts. The technical debt seems to accumulate much faster with large language models because they're evolving so quickly. So my question for you is the time it saves you worth having to reset or retrain your large language model every quarter? The discovery of it doing the job worse when you expect it to be consistent, is it worth it in these cases? Or maybe a bigger question is, are you even checking the work of the large language model? Because this is something that you need to do. And this is another reason why I say we don't hire large language models. Because yes, we should check in with our employees or contractors, but we should also trust that our employees or contractors are not going to dramatically change multiple times per year. So I'd love to know what you think of this. Do you have something on your mind? How are you going to approach resetting large language models? Let me know over at streamlinedfeedback.com. You can write in or leave a voice note. I might even play it on the show. Okay, so for recommended reading, Destiny of the Republic by Candice Millard. This is a book that I finished while I was on vacation and thoroughly enjoyed it. I know, shockingly, or maybe not shockingly, little about James Garfield. I said this to my father-in-law, and he goes, most people don't know anything about James Garfield. And he's like a history buff. So I know shockingly little about James Garfield. For example, he was a congressman who left his post to fight in the Civil War and did very well at that. He was nominated for president despite vehemently protesting it. He did not want this job, and he was one of 4 presidents assassinated in office. Destiny of the Republic is Garfield's story, but it's also one of mental health and access people had to presidents until the early 20th century. People could just walk into the president. They had like open calling hours or open office hours multiple times per week. And while that has changed for the better because of some of the events of this book, it's a sort of access that members of the press barely get today. It's also a story of technology and evolution of medicine. Alexander Graham Bell is heavily featured in this book as well, and I learned a ton about him. This is the second book I've read from Candice Millard. I've got it right here on my desk, Destiny of the Republic by Candice Millard. And I love her style. She's a fantastic storyteller, and the way she weaves a story together to keep it interesting without it being histrionic is excellent. I highly recommend it. It's also, the book is the inspiration for the Netflix series Death by Lightning, which has one of my favorite actors, Nick Offerman, in it. So I highly recommend this book. I'm even more excited to watch this series now. Okay, moving on to something fun, or maybe just something interesting, since I think this week's recommended reading is a fun one. Walking without headphones. This is my first week back from vacation, and one of my favorite things to do on vacation is take a walk before the rest of the house wakes up. I'm often the first one up anyway, but my kids, especially my oldest, are starting to rival that. This year, my youngest daughter excitedly accompanied me on each walk. She is a very good walking buddy. But this forced me to do something I've been trying to do more of anyway, which is take a walk without my headphones, without listening to music or a podcast during these walks. I made this part of my year of digital detox. Be more present with my thoughts instead of having to fill every silence. And while the walks with my daughter were not filled with silence, something I happily subbed for daddy-daughter time, my walks at home have been. I've continued the habit by walking 1 to 1.25 miles every morning with nothing but my watch. It's been nice. It's been nice listening to the sounds of the town where I live and not have something filling my brain, letting my mind wander, letting myself be present with myself. It's been nice. And if you have a chance this weekend, I strongly recommend you try taking a walk without your headphones or just sitting in silence. It's something that we don't do enough of these days. Okay, so there is no automation of the week this week, but I do have a quick promo if you want to learn more hands-on about my processes. I am speaking at an event called Ops Ahoy in Philly in September. Ops Ahoy is setting sail this September, and I'm so honored to be a captain this year. In my session, you'll learn how to create a framework that sets boundaries and resets expectations in your inbox. Join us for 2 days of deep discussion, connection, and fun as we pave the future of operations work. Grab your ticket at processdriven.co/ahoy. That's processdriven.co/AHOY. I will have a link to that and everything we discussed in the description for this episode. But that's it for this episode of the Friday Wrap-Up. These episodes are about taking more time off, especially on the weekends. And the best way you can do that is by having a good system. If you're not sure where to start, head over to streamlined.fm/quiz. Answer a few questions, and I'll send you exactly where you should start to build a less overwhelming business. Thanks so much for listening, and until next time, I hope you find some space in your weekend.